Hi, my name is Christian Smith, and today I'll be looking at one of the principles from The Prodigal God by Timothy Keller. And the principle is from chapter 2, which is called The Lost Sons. And the chapter explains like a very controversial worldview in which that both sons were wrong in their own way. So first, look at a breakdown of the two lost sons in the story. And like when you ever hear the story of the prodigal son, you always hear about the younger one. He's the one that's always focused on because he's the one that actually went out, took the father's his inheritance early, and spent it all on prostitutes and drinking and stuff. And he's the one that made all the mistakes that you would think of. But the older son is also in the wrong of the story because he suffers from self-righteousness. I mean, if you read the story, you'll see that he thinks he deserves everything because he's been by the father. He's been working for years. This self-righteousness kind of takes over and takes him to a toxic pathway that his father does not like. Keller notes that this sort of self-righteousness that the older brother have is like the religious leaders at the time. The religious leaders were self-righteous, and they did not want to accept Jesus because he brought new things into them. He was accepting people they would not accept. And the father kind of takes the place of God in the story because he accepts those who even made mistakes against him. So towards the end of the story, the younger brother recognizes his wrongs and asks for forgiveness, but the older brother just believes he's done everything right and is blinded by his moral upholding and believes that his brother has wronged him fully, and he just can't forgive his brother and just thinks he's so much better than him because all of his actions he committed through his life. The older brother believes that all that really matters is just the things you've done, all the external things you've done for God. It doesn't really do much at all for his inward faith. This is controversial to worldviews we have today because we like to think of being a good Christian of all the external things we do, all the things we do for the kingdom of God, but in reality, God looks at our internal intentions and the reason why we're doing it. And because of the brother's internal intentions and him not wanting to forgive his brother, he misses out on the party. He upsets his dad, and this kind of symbolizes him missing out on the forgiveness of God because he doesn't recognize his inward wrongs. So I'm gonna be relating this story to a current issue we have today in politics. The older brother kind of represents a person in their strong political views, how he had a strong view of all the things he's done, and that people today, they believe that their political party is the only correct one, and the other political party, just everything they do is wrong. They don't even want to hear them out, and they believe that they're superior because of their political beliefs. But why is this a bad thing to believe? Well, for a few reasons. First, believe it causes you to believe that others are misguided or even evil. It gives you a terrible view of others from other political backgrounds and stuff. It just leads to a lifestyle of a lack of empathy and understanding for others that don't believe the same things we do. It divides people. It just creates a society that people can't work together. They don't believe the same thing. It just creates a very divided society. This is even stated in the book The Prodigal God by a quote that says, "If a group believes God favors them because of their particularly true doctrine, ways of worship, and ethical behaviors, their attitude toward those without these things can be hostile." So a real world example of this is just by the news. Here I'll show you a picture of the same event being covered by Fox News and CNN News, and you can see even though it's the same event, they have drastically different opinions on it, just because of their bias towards their own political parties. So constantly viewing a news that only supports your point of views and your own political party, this just creates a self-righteous way of a self-righteous point of view where you're always right and the other political party is always wrong because you're only viewing a news source that says that. This point of view is just pretty controversial today because today most people think that it's good to have strong political views and believe that your political view is superior. I mean, that's a very common thing to think, but this chapter says differently. It says that self-righteousness and only believing you're correct is an extremely dangerous thing to have, and moral superiority is dangerous, and it robs you of the ability to connect with other people. In conclusion, moral superiority separates people in the same way it separates the older brother and the rest of the family and the prodigal son. And because of the separation, he gets to miss out on the party and all the good things the father's planned. So in the book, Keller even says that though the older brother stayed at home, he was actually more distant and alienated from the father than his brother because he was blind to his true condition. So it's basically saying that it's better to, like, even if you made mistakes, it's better to like ask for forgiveness than just to believe you're always right, and that actions aren't everything. I mean, what's really important is like what's in our heart in a relationship with God. And we just need to recognize that self-righteousness divides people, and recognize that we need to change and ask for forgiveness from all the wrong things we believe. Thank you.